Good morning, Steve, and good morning to all the listeners who have logged in this morning. As Karim mentioned, my name is Mandy, and a bit about myself. I am the co-owner. Sorry, guys, it's still early in the morning. I'm the co-owner and CEO of the UPP Group, and also the co-owner and co-director of a business called Coach Up, and I am in partnership with my husband, Mandy Keil. So UPP Group, that's our plumbing business just like yours, and we've been in operation for 25 years plus. And Coach Up is the business where Duncan and I, we are both certified coaches, and it's the business where we go out and we use everything that we've learned and our coaching skills to help other people in business and specifically in our industry to grow in leadership and business development. And I'm also a member on the CPD committee with PRB. And I don't know if you can tell from what I've just mentioned, but my passion in everything is that I help others to grow as individuals and as businesses. And this morning, I'd like to cover a topic that I believe is fundamental to business growth, and that is you. You see, during my many years as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I've discovered what I think is a very important thing. And that is that in order for me to be successful and for my business to grow, I realized that I first needed to grow. Now that might sound like a no-brainer, like a given, but you'll be surprised how many people focus on everything to do with their business growth, to grow their staff. And obviously that is all important and very key to business growth. But very few people actually focus on growing themselves. And over here, I'm speaking specifically about your entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders within the industry. So this brings me to my topic of this morning. And that is your business's best investment. So when we talk about Business 101, I'd like to position that your business's best investment is you. You, and investing and growing yourself is one of the best investments you will ever make. And if you're listening to this session and you aren't a business owner, you might be working for a plumbing company, I want to position to you that you are still working for yourself. You chose to do this job. It's not forced on you. And so within your position, you are the owner of that job, of your position, and it's your choice to do it. So whether you're listening in this morning and you're a business owner, or whether you are working for a plumbing business, I believe that everything that I'm about to share with you will pertain to you regardless of where you find in yourself at this point in time. So I love nature. I don't know about you guys, but I love nature. And one of the things in nature, the creations in nature that I really always admire and relate a lot to in terms of business is the mighty oak tree. And you know what they say, that today's mighty oak tree was just yesterday's nut that held its ground. Oak trees are magnificent. They're huge. They grow from this little sapling into something huge and majestic. And they're symbolic, because it doesn't happen overnight, guys. And they're symbolic for me of longevity, of staying the course, of strength, of consistency, of stability, and of endurance. But in order for them to grow into this mighty oak tree, they also need to be fed. That sapling that you see on the screen on the left-hand side, it needs sunlight and nutrients and water to become that mighty oak tree that it's meant to be. And so, just as the acorn contains the mighty oak, you, the self, that's you and me, we have everything that we need within us to become who we are meant to be, whether it's the master plumber, whether it's the qualified licensed plumber, whether it is a great plumbing business owner, entrepreneur, or maybe becoming a plumbing trainer out there in the field. Whatever it is that is your destiny, you will need your version of sunlight, nutrients, in order to achieve this. So this morning, let's talk about an important element required to grow your business. You're going to need clients, obviously, who repeatedly choose you, and that's where your income is going to be coming from and your business is going to be coming from. You need suppliers. And I think the best thing to do is, if you get to a position where you can have suppliers, where you are able to open accounts, because this will help you to manage your cash flow. You're going to need staff, and staff who you have equipped and trained and who have the same values as you and your business, staff that will have your back and will follow your lead and uphold your business values out in the marketplace with your clients and all other key relationships in your business. But so here is the question: why would anyone, your clients, your staff, suppliers, why would they want to believe in you, invest in you? Because if they're giving of their time and of their money, paying you, or even of their trust in providing you with accounts, etc., they are investing in your business. So why should they believe in your business and in the future of your business and where it is going? And so this is what I want to position to you today, is people believe in people when they can see the growth in them, the potential in them. And so I want to ask you today, do you have a personal growth plan? And that was a question that was put to me by John Maxwell. I'm a John Maxwell certified coach. And one of the key things that he said to me and to many, and anyone that comes onto becomes a John Maxwell leadership coach, he asks us if we have a personal growth plan. And I think this is so important, not just for your business, but for yourself. We tend to sit down every year and we might create strategies for our business growth. But what about your own personal growth? You know, in past and future webinars, we have and we can look at the many ways in which you can grow your business through processes, through people, through sales, marketing, etc. And again, I'm going to say that is obviously it's key to your business development. But today I want to put it to you that if you aren't developing yourself as a person and as a leader, these other areas are always going to be a challenge. I believe that improving yourself is the very first step of improving everything else in your life. You know, we are all anxious to improve our circumstances, our relationships, our staff, our businesses, our lives. But many of us are not so anxious to improve ourselves, because to do this takes time. We need to invest time in ourselves and we need to stretch ourselves. So we tend to focus on the external things and not on the internal, because focusing on the internal, focusing on yourself takes introspection. It takes time, it takes effort. And if you are really serious about growing yourself, it takes brutal honesty when looking within the areas of yourself that you need to grow in. So how do you develop yourself? Now, the natural starting off point to growth is goal setting. I think we all know that setting goals are fundamental to achieving something. And goals can be defined as targets that we set out to achieve. You know, you choose something, whether it's processes in your business or your staff training and what you want to achieve within those areas. And you set out goals, step-by-step goals to get to the point, to get to the destination that you're trying to achieve. This could also look like, in your business, it might look like wanting to achieve an increase in a certain percentage of turnover growth, or increase in your client base, or implementing those business processes, those gaps in your business that's causing you pain. And we are taught, or I was taught, how to break these goals into SMART goals to achieve this. SMART goals simply means that it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and it's time-based. And this is key. It's very important to set these goals. And to do this for myself and Duncan, what we did was we went and we got ourselves a business coach many years ago. And this certainly helped us in many areas of our business, but there was something lacking. And there was almost like a disconnect between the business and myself. And so over time, I also got myself a personal coach. Now, for me, this was the most challenging part, because setting goals for your business is one thing, but setting goals for yourself and really analyzing yourself and looking at those weak spots in yourself, that takes some courage. So I found that really challenging, but it was also probably the best area of development that I've ever experienced. I eventually went on to becoming a coach myself. And like I mentioned earlier on, I obtained my coaching certification through the John Maxwell Leadership Program. And in all of this goal setting and achieving of the goals that I had set out, I had vision boards, I had it documented, written down so that I could tick it off as I went along. But I learned that while achieving these goals was amazing and it was great and it really stretched me, that it was almost secondary to the growth that I achieved. So the goals that I achieved were secondary to the growth that I achieved. And more importantly, that I discovered that while goals have a target, when you set a goal, you're starting over here and you know what you want to achieve. And once you have met all those milestones and you get to the end and you can tick that tick box, you've achieved that goal. It has a destination. But I discovered that while my goals had a target, my growth does not. My growth is infinite. It carries on. It never stops. So my next question to you is, do you invest in yourself? Now, like I mentioned, investing in yourself takes time, it takes effort, and there are many resources that you can look at where it's going to cost you nothing to invest in yourself. But investing in yourself in terms of monetary investment is also important. And the reason for this, I believe, is I've just found that when there is money attached to something, you tend to take it a lot more seriously than if it was for free. If you log in onto some leadership podcasts, and I do that all the time, I listen to so many leadership podcasts, read books, and various ways that maybe doesn't cost me or cost me that much to invest in myself. But what I find with that is if I skip a day or life gets busy, it can tend to fall by the wayside. Whereas if I'm investing in myself in a monetary way, it's a lot more serious to me. I don't want to lose out on the money that I've invested. So I tend to, and maybe you're different, but for myself, I tend to really make the effort to set the time aside and to make sure that no matter what I do, that if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, whatever that time is, I set that time aside in that program that I have invested in. And there are different things that I've invested in monetary. To become part of the John Maxwell leadership team, to become coached, etc., you've got to invest in yourself. You've got to pay. Our business has invested in a program called EOS, and EOS is a system that helps you to put the various processes, the right processes into your business so that your business runs smoothly. We're also part of Flow Code through a company called RaceCorp. And all of these things is time, it's effort, and it's money, but it's where I have grown and developed the most. So I want to challenge you today to really investigate and look for ways in which you can invest in yourself. And again, I'm saying to you, if you're not investing in yourself seriously, where you're prepared to put something in it, you put the pain into it and the pain of money into it, then why should others invest in you? Why should they believe in you? Why should they spend their hard-earned cash on you and your business? So just something to think about with regards to that. So this can all be overwhelming. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can be looking at in terms of your business growth, so your personal development, and just exactly where do you start in business. And like I mentioned earlier on, there's so many focus areas that you need to grow in your business, from your financials, your processes, your people, and like I'm saying now, you need to grow yourself as well. So where do you start? Well, when I started on this journey with the John Maxwell leadership team, one of the things is one of his CEO at the moment, Chris Robinson, said to me was that you need to choose your lane. And I said, what do you mean by choose my lane? Because you see, I suffer from a serious case of FOMO, a fear of missing out. And when you get onto these programs, they've got so many things to look at. In John Maxwell, they've got speaker programs, leadership programs, coaching programs, mentoring programs. And I wanted to do it all because I didn't want to miss out. And he gave me some very wise advice. And he said, Mandy, he said, you know, like, he used the analogy of someone chopping down, a farmer chopping down a tree. And he says, every day this farmer gets up, he picks up his axe, he goes to the tree that he's about to chop down, and he chops at it for 5 minutes. He puts his axe down and he goes on with his day. The next day he comes back and he does the same thing. He chops for 5 minutes and he repeats this all the time. And eventually, guess what? That tree falls over, okay? Then he used the analogy of he took that same farmer, and the farmer chops for 5 minutes a day, but eventually he becomes bored with that tree. So he moves on to the next tree and he chops for 5 minutes, a couple of days, and he moves on because he keeps getting bored. And he said, when you try and do too many things at the same time, you can't focus on it. So you tend to hop from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other. And eventually you have maybe done a little bit in everything and you've got a little bit of growth in everything, but you've not become a master at anything. And so he said, rather choose your lane. There's so many things to focus on. You need to identify for you what your important thing is, what your essential thing is in your business. So there are going to be areas in your business right now that are essential. Maybe it's a business process that you need to be putting in. Maybe it's a staff training that you need to be putting in. Maybe it's client relationship development strategies that you need to be growing in. Choose one thing in that area, but then also go and look at that one thing in your life, in your personal development, that essential thing that you need to be implementing and growing in your leadership and your future growth within yourself, and choose that one thing. So what could that look like? What are your essential areas? So I'm going to tell you what my essential areas were when I started out. And for me, I broke it down into this, and I didn't do it all at once, okay? But I knew that my growth that I then broke down into goals was going to be involved in relationship development. And that was for clients as well as with staff and suppliers. And in my own personal life as well, there were relationships that were fundamental to my growth that I was going to be focusing on. It was always about equipping others. I am a firm believer that whatever I learn, I have to pass on. That's how we grow others. That's how we will grow our industry. And that's how we will transform our industry and the environments around us. So equipping was really important for me. Having the right attitude for all of these things was also important. You know, we can get up and we can be tired and we can be grumpy and we can lose hope. And I realized that attitude for me was a choice. If I was going to accomplish anything in my life, I needed to have the right attitude. So working on my attitude, and my attitude could be quite shocking at times. So this was a very big personal growth area for me. And I believe that I have succeeded at it, but I still work on it. So attitude was very important. And then leadership. Leadership for me is about influences. It's about growing others. It's about adding value. It's not about being a boss. It's about transformation. And so leadership was another essential area for me. And when I first started out, those were the 4 areas that I thought I wanted to be focusing on. Over time, I added communication because I'm actually an introvert. So stepping out, and one of my growth areas is stepping out and speaking. And so this is what I'm doing now. And so adding communication to my essential areas was a massive thing for me, and looking for opportunities to practice this. And then I am a person of faith. And so just in terms of me as a person, this was another area that I wanted to grow in and apply in my life. But I don't know what this might look for you, what your essential areas are. So when you're looking to invest in yourself, you need to go and stand and look at that person in the mirror. Maybe go and ask questions of the people around you. And you need to be prepared to accept the honest feedback and provide an environment where they can provide you with honest feedback, and ask them what they think of you as a business owner, leader. If you're working in a business, maybe you are a team member in that business, what your fellow colleagues think of you, what your strengths are and what your areas of development are. And if you don't think that they're going to be honest, maybe set it up as as some kind of feedback form that can be anonymous. In your business, you can look for your business gaps, whatever those gaps are, whether it's process gaps, people gaps. And the important thing is, maybe an essential area is you providing feedback to your team, equipping your team and training your team. So those are just a couple of ideas that you can look at in terms of how to grow yourself. And there are many, many ways. And I just want to point out that one of the things that I'm most proud of within our industry is the amount of opportunity that they provide in terms of growing youth in a personal way as well as in a business way. If you just go and look at the LMS platform on our OPSA, there are so many things that you can go, and some of them are free, some of them are paid for, but there are so many ways in which you can grow yourself in terms of leadership as well as in business. There are these webinars that are run, the Business 101, the Toolbox Talks, you know, and the technical talks that are run. There's just so many things happening within our industry that you can tap into to grow yourself. So take advantage of it. It's there for you. And if you're not using it, you are missing out on the opportunity. And find ways in which you can add value as well. Maybe provide input, you know, pick up the phone Steve and say, Steve, I've got this idea. It's sometimes, I mean, we love doing what we do, but it would be great getting feedback from the people who are listening into this to say, you know, if you guys focused on this or maybe added this, this would really add value to us as well. And so that's your way of giving back too, is helping us to create great content to train and transform the industry. And so that's it from me for today. And I just want to end off by saying, please don't be afraid to, you know, to get help. For me, successful small business owners look to coaches, mentors, education, and training for themselves and the employees to help overcome the challenges and to learn new skills and to deal with the complexities that we often face with. So find ways to improve yourself, and in that way, you're also going to improve your business's competitiveness out there. So from my side, I just want to thank you for your attendance today, and I'm not sure if there are any questions.
Thank you very much, Mandy, for this informative session. I believe there are no questions from the attendees. Steve, is there anything from your side that you'd like to add? Any questions before we end off the session?
Yeah, thanks, Mandy. Yeah, I'm just, you know, intrigued by, you know, your comments this morning. And, you know, again, we're talking about focus and having a vision. So I'll never forget, we were up in Sun City. We had the World Plumbing Conference at Sun City many, many years ago. And we had Dr. Ian Player there. And Dr. Ian Player, as you know, was a great conservationist. His brother being the golfer. But when he was talking about focus, he was looking at wildlife. And he was talking about a cheetah that was looking at a herd of gazelle or whatever the case may be. And if you go and have a look at the way in which they act and how they go, they focus on one animal. And they'll run past two or three, but they will remain focused on that one particular animal that they picked up. And I think from the plumbing side of things, you know, it's the same type of thing, is stay focused. We sometimes get distracted from, you know, various things that come up. You know, shit happens, let's be honest. You know, you think it's a great day and something goes wrong and it puts you out of kilter. And I think for me, it's just getting back to that place in terms of understanding where it is that you're going and investing, like you say. So my day starts at 4 o'clock. My time between 4 and 5:30 is where I invest in myself, whether it be reading, whether it be looking at standards or whatever the case may be. But that is my time. And I've learned to do that for the simple reason that come 7 o'clock, everything goes haywire. So, and I think it's about being that focused person. I think it's also looking at the results. You know, we look at all these businesses and they, just like you said there, Mandy, they all started from somewhere. They all started with that seed that was planted. And you go look at all of these big businesses that are out there, and plumbing is they all started with a seed and a vision. And if we have that for ourselves, then we can start. And it's about being focused. Finding a mentor. You know, I love these, Mandy and yourself and everybody that delivers. I learn something every single day. Find a mentor and be a mentor. I think, you know, just invest. Sometimes just sharing what you've gone through in terms of will guide and help somebody else. And again, asking questions and real questions. And the one thing that gets me, and I just want to leave with this, is when somebody says to me, but I'm just a plumber. I think when you look in that mirror, as Mandy said, what do you see? Do you see just a plumber? Do you see a mentor? Do you see a business person? What do you see? And then ask somebody. And like me, I'll call a spade a spade. You know, I will focus, I will help, will guide, will assist, and we all learn. But I think it's to look at ourselves and say, I'm not just a plumber. And I think that's, for me, is one of the key things. Focus, get that seed growing, and make it happen. Thanks, Mandy.
Thanks, Stephen. That was very impactful too.